Hello everyone, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. Give it a house. How's everybody doing? I'm doing okay since I, finished those two hellaciously long videos. The editing on those was pretty brutal, so this can be a shorter one, I hope. Please, that'd be nice. Anyways, what we are going to do today is we're going to make these. So these are like little texture clusters. Basically, they're ruffle made out of paper, and it's got yarn and fibers and all kinds of stuff sewn onto it here. And the way I use these is in the journals that I do. Clang, clang, clang. I'll put them, like on the pages here. I usually like to put one underneath the library card pocket, so it kind of gives it a bit of a decorative element. Otherwise, this sort of looks like it's floating in a sea of front cover, So it helps it blend in, looks nice, that sort of thing. So since I am currently working on my Ireland journal, which is this one here, this isn't necessarily going to be, part of it, but this is the theme that I'll be using for it. So I have some stuff for it. So the main component of this is the paper. So when I do my tea dyeing, or it's coffee dyeing in my case, I put this down on my sheet pans, right? Because some of the papers I use, especially like dictionary paper and the center paper, will tend to stick on there, and I definitely don't want that. So I'll put 1 to 2 layers of this down. I used to just put 1 layer, but then I realized what I could do with this stuff. So now I start putting 2, so that way I can make extra. And so what it ends up looking like at the end of tea dyeing is this. So this is, obviously very highly colored in places. It's got a really cool crinkly texture to it. And so I hung on to it because it was really cool. I just couldn't figure out what to do with it. And then I decided to make these. Now, I did not invent this by any stretch. I cannot remember where I saw these done first because it was years ago and many, many hundreds of hours of junk journal videos ago. I'm fairly sure Rachel from Roxy Creations did some of these because she used to do a lot more sewing on her channel, and she did a lot of stuff like this. Or it was probably Gail Agostinelli, because I know she does things like this. But who knows where they originated? Somebody made them. I don't know who that is. If you do know, then you can let me know, and that'd be great. So anyways, that's what we're going to do with this. So we're going to use this paper here as the base, and I am going to sew. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can still make them. It's just kind of a pain. You just have to fold the paper over and kind of glue it with each little fold. It can be done, but it's just easier with a sewing machine. Once you start decorating them, do you need to sew them? No. You can glue the stuff down. It'll stay just fine. But again, I like to sew it. So we're going to use this paper here. And then, of course, when I was doing the tassel, I had done a bunch of the fabric into little strips, so we'll use a bunch of these that match, that I want to use within the journal. And what else do we have? We have a ribbon here. So I can use bits of this. Now, we're not going to use each element on every single one. That would get a little ridiculous, but we can do that. I also have my yarn. This is new. This is so pretty. Nice dark green, because I just was lacking that. And then other ones that I've used previously, here and here, the eyelash trim, and I have my stash of paper scraps as well. Maybe use some of those. I was thinking maybe using some book page in it, because I do have a lot of the Irish Gaelic book pages. And so I wouldn't mind doing that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then I was going to do some seam binding. So seam binding you can get in tons of different colors. Comes on a roll, and it's very useful. A lot of people use it for tags, for closures for journals, that sort of thing. And, when you buy it in all the different colors, it can get very expensive. So, and that was my cat. I don't know if you heard that. God only knows what he wants. Okay, I get it in the white, and then I color it myself. So this big, huge, look at all that. There's a ton of that, right? I got this thing like years ago, and I still have tons of it. I don't have to have 50 individual colors. I just have one, and then I color it myself with these. So that's what we're going to do. I've grabbed some greens and I've grabbed some golds. And I think we're going to color us up some seam binding. Now that can be done as ruffles as well, along with the paper. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but the nice thing is once you get it wet with this stuff, you can scrunch it up and it becomes like that crinkle ribbon sort of stuff. So we'll do that too, and you know, whatever the heck else we want to stick on there. So let me get this stuff straightened up a bit, and we will do the seam binding part first, just because this takes a while to dry. So I'll be right back with you. All right, so I am back and ready to dye the seam binding. So what I've done is, since I had the wax paper out, I figured I might as well cover my glass mat. Glass mat's fine, it won't absorb it, you just wipe it off. But this will make cleanup easier, and who knows, if it's not too crazy on here and I let it dry, I may have some other cool paper. So I'm always thinking ahead when it comes to making my own craft supply stuff, which is why I did 3 of them here, and then this twine just happened to be in the area, and I thought, ooh, I wonder what that'll look like. So maybe with one of them we'll take this and kind of mop the color up and see what it does. So anyways, I got 3 lengths of seam binding. What's this about? Yeah, a little over a yard, I want to say, for each one. And I've got Dylusions, the regular spray in fresh lime, and the shimmer spray. These are so brilliant. I love these things, and they're so shimmery. They have tons of mica. I've already shaken them up because you got to shake them up for days, but this stuff is fantastic. I've also got the shimmer spray in Pure Sunshine, which is a beautiful gold with kind of red undertones to it, and then Vanilla Custard, which is a brighter gold. And then I have Island Parrot, because, you know, parrots are green, are they? I don't know. Maybe they are. I'm sure they are somewhere. And then I have Cut Grass in the shimmer spray. So this will give us a nice shimmer to everything, because if you can put shimmer on stuff, why not? I also have some paper towels here that I've kind of folded in half, so as each batch is done, we'll place it on the paper towel and just kind of allow it to dry on its own naturally, which will take a little bit. But that's okay, because so will the other stuff, so that's fine. And then I also have these, so every time we get Chinese food and they insist on giving you chopsticks. Yes, I know how to use chopsticks. I grew up in Japan, which is exactly why I avoid chopsticks, because for a while I kind of didn't have a choice if we went out to eat, because back in the 70s, a long time ago, you know, having a fork in a Japanese restaurant was not as popular. On base, yeah, you can get forks all day, but not so much in the restaurant. But this is great for taking and kind of mixing this around and being able to pick it up without getting this stuff on your hands, because it will dye your hands for a while. So I want to try to avoid that. We'll see if I can. Usually I still don't. Usually I still wear half of it, but that's fine. And I've also put some paper towel back here, because what you can't see, I have my Tim Holtz paper dolls and my different ephemera books back here, and I really don't want to spray this stuff, because this stuff gets really, really messy. So yeah, I'm going to try to contain the mess. Again, we'll see how successful I am at doing that. So let's move some of these out of the way, and we will start on our first one. So with this, I mean, you can take this and put it in like a container, like Tupperware or something if you want, and spray it in there and swirl it around. But with this, I'm kind of going to try to go for, at least on this first pass, sort of variegated. So I'm going to use some of the regular Island Parrot and some of the regular fresh lime, so I get kind of 2 different shades of green, and then we'll see where to go from there, maybe with some of the gold on there. So again, get that out of the way, and we're just going to start spraying and see. The thing I love about Dylusions, oh, and I have one for me, because see how this does this? You need to wipe that off if you don't want these to get clogged up. So immediately after you use it, you just wipe it off. But the Dylusion sprays are super, super pigmented. I mean, even the Tim Holtz ones I don't think are quite this pigmented. Love these. And these are water reactive as well. So we've got that going on. Let's do a little bit more of this darker color here. I've got some white spots still. All right. So let's do we'll do the fresh custard, or vanilla custard. Can't really use this one, so this may take a second. If you have the mica spray and we've cleared the top. Number one, shake it up with the lid on it, generally, because, yeah, you'll find out that there's, like, you know, sometimes it'll come out here, it'll come out there, all over you. That's how you find that one out. But if you go to spray it and it doesn't even want to push down, it's because you still got too much of the mica down here, and it's probably clogging the thing up. But if you shake it some more, give me 1 second. And see, this is why the cap's on, because if I didn't have the cap on, that would have been who knows where. We'll use this one. This one should work. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna spray this. Did I get the computer? I think I got the computer. Whoopsie. Okay. There we go. And see, you're still gonna get it all over you. Especially with the micro sprays. They tend to clog a bit. All right, so we got some gold on there. You know what? I'm going to put the lid on this bad boy because I do not want green all over everything. But usually when you go to do these and they won't even press down, if you keep shaking them and shaking them and shaking them, eventually they will. It's just kind of its way of telling you it's still got mica at the bottom. And so this is a nice dark green. So kind of go over some of the spots here. Okay. Oh, and I violated my own rule. There we go. All right. So here we go. And hey, it looks those are good colors right there. Except they're on my hands now. So we can either leave it like this, or we'll take the chopsticks and kind of see if we've got any spots that could use some color, and just kind of move it around. See, a little tie-dyed there. So we've got plenty of spots that have color to absorb. So kind of swish those around in there. But when you do it this way, you can get a nice variety of colors to it, which is always fun. So every piece will be a little different. Okay. Oops, I see a big old white spot there on that. Don't want that. Let's see. Get some over here. There we go. All right. So this is looking good. We're going to take our first sheet and we're going to put this on here and leave it in this crumpled up wrinkled state, because you can take this and squish it even more, because it'll dry nice and crinkly. Okay, so we're going to sit this stuff off to the side, and then we're going to take the paper towel and we're going to kind of wipe this up. There we go. And see, it's leaving some cool color on here, which is nice. All right, and there we go. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why this stuff always ends up on my hands. Oh, love it. Okay, so we've got that one on there. Ooh, I like that. That's a pretty color. It's pretty enough to wear for the next 3 days. Okay. So and I am going to kind of move this stuff around a little bit here. So we've got some different areas exposed. And then let's do the fresh lime shimmer spray. There we go. All right. Yeah, when all else fails, just go grab your Ranger replacement tops for these. And again, just be very, very, very conscientious about cleaning that. All right, so there's that one. All right, there we go. I was going to say one spray, you bastard. Okay, there we go. Got a little bit more of that. So, yeah, I'm real glad I'm using the chopsticks to keep the ink off my hands. Seriously. So annoying. Okay, so we got that. And where's my other gold? And you do need to shake them up if you've let it sit. See how the mica starts going down to the bottom? That's what causes most of the headache, is the fact that it doesn't stay suspended in the fluid. Okay, do a little gold on top of it this time. All right, that should be good. Clean this off. Luckily the cat flew off into my lap because I hadn't gotten any ink there yet. So thanks, Cap. All right. Yay, is this fun? Oh yeah, I'm gonna stop saying things like easy or, you know, quick or yeah. I just need to remove those from my vocabulary because clearly between my crap time management skills, you know, and non-cooperative craft supplies, nothing is quick or easy. Okay, so there we go. We've got another batch of it. Let's see, where's that? It's hard to tell if it's white or if it's reflecting that mica. I think it's, yeah, it's reflecting the mica. Okay, so we have batch number 2. Same thing. We're going to put it in our nice little pile. Gonna scrunch it, and that helps to not only put your scrunches in there, but it squeezes out a little bit of excess ink too. Okay, let's set these over to dry as well. And let's bring in that twine, because I made an unholy mess over here, so there's probably enough for it to pick up. If not, we'll just use some of the non-mica Dylusion spray, which always sprays. There we go. That there. And because I'm nothing if not a glutton for punishment, get some of this gold on here. All right. You can see it kind of pooling up and making a new color, kind of an olive sort of color. So yeah, this one we want to kind of move around in it. You know what? To hell with it. I already have it all over my hands. It's really, there's no point. The only thing that kills me is this is water reactive, right? Unless you want to rinse it off your hands, in which case, yeah, water does nothing. It just kind of spreads it out over more of your hand. All right. There we go. That's the way I usually do it. Now, if I was smart, I'd have latex gloves or something, which I don't. Okay, so we got our twine on here. That's pretty good. Now we'll set this to dry. This is also why I have a paper towel dispenser right next to my desk. All right. Kind of wipe this off a bit. And we will do our last one. Okay. So this one, I think we'll just do a little light green. And then the 2 golds. My new favorite, because it actually works, because I put a replacement lid on it. And then Liquid Sunshine, which I have another one of these. I love this color so much. So pretty. Okay, so we got that. So this is mostly gold. And once we get this kind of moved around to soak up all that extra, we will add another just little splash of the really light green regular spray on top. All right, probably about as good as we're going to get that. And then we'll just take the light green and just hit a couple little areas, and that we are calling done. So again, we'll scoop this up. And if you did have a little white spot as well that you didn't see, once you squish it in here, you'll end up squishing the color into it as well. Okay, so we've got more of a gold with a little hint of green to it. You know what, I just want one more hint. There we go. Okay, and we'll set those to dry. Clean up some of this mess, of which there is a ton. In this piece, I'm just going to kind of let it dry. with this stuff on it. Some of it's kind of soaked through the back a little bit, and I'm going to clean this mess up, and I will come back to you after I've made the attempt to get my hands clean, but don't be surprised if they're not. All right, so I've given this a bit of a chance to dry, and I put something white underneath so you could see the color of it. And as you can see, it's got lots and lots of shimmer to it. I'll try to catch an angle of it, see? That's the mica in the mica spray. The only drawback with mica sprays and things like that is that the mica will come off if you rub it. It's not fixed. So if you're going to use this, which I am going to use this, it's best to do a fixative. This is what I have. I don't know that they even make this stuff anymore, but you can use hairspray, you can use any of the spray, varnish kind of stuff or what have you, spray fixatives, but make sure it is glossy if you're using mica, because if you use matte, it will dull it and you won't have any shine and it'll look like crap. Ask me how I know that. So anyways, so we've got this piece here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear away some of the kind of boring plain edge area of it. And I think what I'll do is I will use, and there's little bits that are good on that still, but I'm trying to get it to square a bit. I will use some of this to make some of the little texture clusters, but I'm also going to save some to do the regular clusters with, because we're also at some point going to do these kinds where it has all sorts of different stuff and it's backed on the tea stain paper and stuff. We'll do some of those too, so we'll stash some of this for that as well. So now I've got this square sheet, and I'm going to let this finish. It's still a little bit tacky from the fixative, so I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry. And I'm going to bring in this piece. So this is the piece that we're going to use for the clusters. And then I have a couple pieces that I tore off of that as well from those scraps. And so usually with these, pretty much all of it has tea staining on it. We weren't just spraying directly on it. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this in half this way. Go. And then I'm going to go ahead and tear these ends off, not because they're not worthy, of being included, but I really like the rough ends. So I tend to tear the straight edges off before I go to make them into the clusters. And since this is something that would have ended up in the garbage, I don't feel quite so bad about that. All right, so now that we have these torn like this, we're just going to tear them into strips, like so. And of course, I'll fast forward through this part too, so you don't have to watch me tear every one of them. All right, so we have our strips here. We've got our couple bonus strips from the other stuff, and I'll tear some more of that off here in a bit once it's completely dry. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to do this as we sew, and I'll show you how to do it, but you're going to be folding these over. So you're just going to kind of make little folds in them. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine and you want to make these, the way you would do it is you would put glue here between all these folds and just kind of fold them. And you want it to be random and haphazard so it has a lot of nice, cool looking texture to it. Same with when you're tearing these. Don't try to tear them all evenly. They all should be very different because we want them to all look different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how to run these through there the quick and easy way. And then I will finish sewing all of them, obviously, off camera, because there's no need to torment you with that, even in fast forward. And then we will come back together to start decorating some of them. All right, so I have the sewing machine set up, and hopefully this will work out as far as y'all being able to see. And yes, it is a Hello Kitty sewing machine. No, it's not a kid's sewing machine. It's actually a Janome, and this is a very expensive sewing machine. But I got it on a really good sale at Target once. And, well, once, like I'm going to buy one of these a week or something. But it was on sale for a really good price. And I'd always wanted a Janome because I normally had the Brother sewing machines for a long time. And they're good, don't get me wrong. But my Brother sewing machines faithfully served me for many years. But it's night and day. You know, and I'll watch a lot of people on YouTube, and they start their machine and it starts shaking everything, right? This thing's like a Cadillac. It's smooth. It doesn't shake anything, and it's so much quieter than my Brother machine. I absolutely love it. So anyway, back to the land of not being distracted. So we have our piece here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a straight stitch, and I've made the stitch length about 3. We'll see how that works for us. Because you don't want to start adding bulk, you don't want to do a zigzag or anything at this stage of it. We'll do a zigzag when we go to put the thread and things on there. You're just wanting to give it the different folds and ruffles in there. Okay, so what you do is you just kind of line it up in the center, and you want to go really slow. And I set mine so that my needle is in the down position when I stop, which will help immensely. And so I'm going to... How can I do this where you can see it? All right. Bring it a little farther. Oh. Yeah, this is why you don't keep your foot on the pedal when you're not paying attention. All right, so we're going to go like this. And we're just going to kind of push this up and under as we sew. And then when we start to go through another one, I'm going to take the next part and I'm going to push it up and under. And doing it with one hand is making those ruffles even rougher. Which is fine. I'm cool with that. So I'm going to do that here. And I'm going to keep going. When you've got your fingers this close to the sewing machine, you really want to be going slow because you don't want to slip. I watched somebody do that in high school, and I never slipped after watching, because that once that needle goes down to a certain point, the only way to get it back up is to push it all the way through. So yeah, be careful with sewing machine. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to finish this one up, and then we're going to take this one and we're going to put it kind of on the heels of it, about a 1/4 inch or so apart. And that way we're going to do these all in one continuous chain. Okay, you just kind of scrunch your fabric up as you go. The more comfortable you get with it, you know, of course, the faster you can scrunch it. If you missed, like I just did, just lift up your presser foot. You can kind of, as she puts her hand right dead in front of what she's doing, you can kind of put that down and make your fold that way. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the next one. I'm going to go along. Once I've caught the top of it with the needle, that's when I start making the folds, because otherwise you'll just push it out of the way and misalign it. But okay, we're just scrunching it up. They don't have to be flat. They don't have to be perfect. We don't want them to be perfect. We want them to have texture. Although it's harder to do that last one with one hand. Okay. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to raise my needle up, lift this up. I'm going to reach back here. Sorry, I got my arm in the way. Okay, so see, there we have it. So we've got a chain of them. And it's basically just a straight stitch, and it's making that ruffle. So this is the direction we went, and I'm just pushing it under, pushing it under, pushing it under. Okay, it's that simple. So I'm going to do the rest of these in this big long chain of them, and then I'll get them cut apart, and then I will meet you back, and then we will go over decorating them. So I have finished sewing all of these, and I've cut them apart, so you can see they're all nice and ruffled now. And here's the shiny ones. And they're all nice and ruffled as well. So out of that piece of wax paper or whatever it was, you can use parchment paper as well. It's just I live in the South, so finding parchment paper is not always the easiest thing to do at the grocery store. So I just went ahead and went with that because I needed it then. But I got 18 of the ones from the tea staining, and then I got 8 of the sparkly ones. And that still leaves me with half of a sheet, which is going to be used for regular clusters. So, hey, that's not bad component-wise for 2 things that would normally have been thrown away. So what I'm going to do is we're going to grab, we'll do, say, 2 of these and 2 of these. I'm not going to do all of them, just because, again, I'm trying to keep my videos not 17 hours long. That's my goal. And keep in mind, too, if you make a bunch of these, let's say I'm making a journal, I'm not going to do necessarily all of these in the theme of that particular journal. You can always just hang on to them like this. So you have your bases, and then when your next journal you decide on, you've already got these kind of ready to go as well. So it's really up to you what you want to do with them. I like kind of doing all of them, and maybe a couple different styles and things, just so I've got the entire piece on hand. But that's just me. I like to mass make things when I can, because when Christmas time comes around, that's what most people get from me. So it's helpful to have these. So anyways, I'm going to straighten this stuff up, and then we will decorate these 4, I think. All right, so we're going to do 2 of each, 2 of the coffee dyed and then 2 of the extra. And with this, just make sure, since, we have that shiny side on there, make sure it's shiny side up. That's always a fun one. And with these, they're not too complicated. Let's get these ones out here. So if you look, it's got, layer of cheesecloth, layer of fabric, some sort of yarn, and the eyelash trim. So we're going to kind of do that in a way. I've got some book page in Irish Gaelic that I want to use, though. So that will probably form, well, we'll kind of see. So I've got 3 of our fabric strips that I did when I was doing the tassels. And so we'll pick these ones. We'll just kind of put 1 on each one, and then one of them we'll have 2 of. Or I can reach into my fabric and grab a different, I think I'll do that. So since I just cut that, but the other edges are torn, just go ahead and fray your edges on here. Pull a few threads off of there, and it'll fray even more over time, but it gives it a nice textured look. So we'll do that one there. And we have our flag one. I'll do this one here. Should we do this? I'll do this one here. I'll do the brighter colored ones on the coffee stained fabric. So I'm going to pull some threads out on each end, just to give it that frayed look. And I just kind of, I stack all this stuff up, and then I glue everything down at one time. Just makes it a little easier for me to kind of mass make these in a way. So we've got this one. So I need about, not that much. There we go. And then I will move these, and I'll reach into my bag and grab another one. And since it's going on the shiny, I was going to go with a darker fabric, so I was thinking this, but I also came across this, which is really cool. This is already kind of ripped in a neat way. So we can, I'll cut the top off for sure, then decide how much we want. So maybe we'll use this, because I think having too much of that tail is going to be excessive, but if I go to do another one, this can just go on there as is. So we'll put this one here, and then I do want to do the cheesecloth under it. I like doing that for the texture as well. So let's see, I'll hold it next to that, and we'll just kind of roughly cut it to the length. And we'll cut this in half, and this can do 2 of them. And I do coffee stain my cheesecloths. What I do is when I get the package of it, I open the package and I leave it just like it is. And I just take that and I go dunk, and then I squeeze it out, and then I unroll it to let it dry, and it usually works out pretty good. That's why it's still kind of folded a bit. All right, so we're going to put this under here. And you do want stuff to be at different lengths just for visual interest. So we'll have that piece sticking out, have that one there. And this would probably look better under this one. It's here. And then this one is, I wonder, if that's too, yeah, it's too thin, but hey, I just gave it more texture. Look at that. Okay, that was a fail. So we'll do one piece for this, and we'll do a nice long skinny piece for this one here. The nice thing with cheesecloth is that it's such a pain to cut in a straight line that you always end up with cool edges, so there is that. Okay, put this under here, put that kind of up towards the top so we're seeing a bunch at the bottom. And same with this, and then once you cut the cheesecloth like that, you really can kind of pull and tweak it as well. So we've got that there and that there. All right, so now we're going to do the different part, and we're going to add some of the book page. So let's see, go kind of this way. Now, since this is directional, this will pretty much lock us into, you know, one side being up, one side being down, but that's all right. And we'll do 2 narrow strips, should be enough. And then this, I do want to ink the edges of it because I did not coffee dye this. I coffee dyed a bunch of the other Irish pages, but not all of them, so it gives you a little bit of choice if you don't have all of them coffee dyed, because sometimes you don't want it. But in this case, I do. And get these, and it's got a nice angle to it, which is kind of neat. Keep going around the edges. Like so. All right. Nope, don't do that too quickly. Okay. So let's see, we'll put this one here so we can do that top edge. The center of that. God, cheesecloth. I love cheesecloth, but it works my nerves because it just gets everywhere, and all you have to do is just pass close enough to it and it'll leap at you and stay on your hand. I may be exaggerating slightly. Okay, so we'll just do this one in half. And again, do the ends here. And then we'll put these on here. And so on the other one, this is where we had our yarn. So I've got 2 different colors that I want to use this time. This is the brand new green one that I got, and then this is another green one that I had. So I think what we'll do is we will do one piece for each color type of each color type, which totally makes sense in my brain, but probably no one else's. So we've got one, this will go on one coffee dyed and one sparkly, what we'll call them, I guess. Because even though I'm doing things that are chaotic, I have to have balance. It's a blessing and a curse, really, honestly. Okay, so we'll put that on this one. Oh, that looks good on there. I like the way it looks with the green there. And we'll put that one on that one. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to glue these down. I'm not going to be using a lot of glue. Now, if you're not going to sew them, obviously, please glue them down nice and firmly. But I do want them tacked down so that when I go to sew them, everything doesn't go flying off everywhere. So as you can imagine, it'd be really hard to finger pin this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to line this up. We're going to put our cheesecloth down here. You do not need to glue cheesecloth because you're going to glue this fabric and it'll go right through and glue to what's behind it. So I'm using Fabri-Tac, and it's a new bottle, so it shouldn't do the volcano thing at me. And I'm going to just do just a little bit and tack it down right in the center. And these things I'll kind of try to get them different heights just for a little more visual interest there. And now we will move our yarn, which is leapt into the fray. Okay, make sure we're doing the right side down. Oh, if I had $1 for every time I screwed something up. Okay, so we'll put this down here. a little bit. And then now we will put a little line through to hold our yarn. And this stuff is the threads of whatever it's made from, wool, whatever. They're not really twisted together. What's holding them together, I don't know if you can see it, is like there's a piece of thread that goes around. So if you want to get this nice and fluffy, you can just do that and it'll separate for you. And so I'll put this like this, and then we'll set this up here to dry. And then I will do these other 3. I'll put it on fast forward so you don't have to sit through the whole process. And I'll join you back as soon as everything is glued down on the front side. There we go. So, do you see what I mean about the cheesecloth on this one? That thing, between that and this, yeah, and my nails are going to be trashed again already because this is acetone base, and I know I got it on this. Yeah, see? That's where the cheesecloth attacked me. So, okay, so we have these up here. Now we're going to put the eyelash trim, and I like to put the eyelash trim on the back. So that way it kind of just pokes out in a subtle way. Oh, Fabri-Tac all over my hands. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sparkly, and once again I'm going to do one of each of these. One will be sparkly and one will be regular. So I think we'll make that one sparkly. And that one. And then somewhere there is an end to, there it is. And then this one can be the regular. And this one. Okay, and it doesn't have to, you know, obviously match exactly on there. Because again, you're going for visual interest with these. So, you know, you want stuff to be a little different and hang off in a different way. So, with this stuff here, I'm going to flip this over, and I usually go for on the back. See, here's where I stitch down here. So there's, if this is longer, this is shorter. Whatever the short side is, that's where I hang my, and it's kind of a pain to get the eyelash trim this way, but if you can get the glue and then get it up this way, you get the most stuff hanging out from it. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to run a little bead of Fabri-Tac right down the seam here. And now this is part 2 of things that will drive you crazy, because this stuff sticks to everything too and makes a big mess, as you can see with all the eyelash trim fluff everywhere all over my desk. So we're going to do that with these hanging down. It is real helpful if you can kind of pull it that way, because it'll pull most of these fibers away from where you're about to glue. I'm going to set that up there to dry, and I'm going to do the other 3 just like the other thing, and I'll be right back with you. There we are, and we'll get some of this eyelash fluff off of here. So these need to dry completely. You do not want to put even tacky glue, tacky as in not the type of glue but the consistency. You don't want that going through a sewing machine, because it will do all kinds of damage to your machine. So you want these to be nice and dry before you do that. That's why I didn't put very much glue at all with them. And then what I'm going to do is I'll show you on one of the previous ones. So like on here, I did a zigzag stitch. So I picked that central element here, and I'm going to zigzag over this, so just wide enough to go over that. And that will catch these other layers here, and it'll catch some of this. Now it's not going to follow it exactly, but you don't need it to, because that's what the glue was for. And this side is the side that gets glued down anyway, so you really don't need it. But I'm going to let this stuff dry completely before I do that, and then I will run them through the machine. I won't show you that because it looks very suspiciously like when I was putting these through the machine to fold them, except don't fold them, zigzag stitch. Okay, so, and I will join you guys back with the finished pieces. Now I am back, and I have sewn these. So these are the ones that we did, and as you can see, I just went over them with a zigzag stitch so it kind of catches the yarn in the middle, and see it catches some of the eyelash trim on the back. Again, you've glued it down, and it'll be glued to this surface anyway, so it should be just fine. So this is how they look, and yeah, once you get them, as you're making them, they look kind of sketchy, but once you get them glued down and everything, they look really cool, and they look very chaotic, even though they're kind of not. And then I did make a few others using some of the ribbon and different things, some scrapbook paper in there. There's some more book page ribbons. This is the ribbon that we colored with the Dylusions sprays and whatnot. So I've got 10, which should be plenty for this journal. So I'm going to follow my own advice, and I left the others undone so that I can use them for future projects, which will be nice because then I won't have to go over that whole step. So that's that. So that's what we've done today. We've done these, and then we've done our ribbon. Now, as you can see, I'm not sure how well it's picking up on this mat, but you see all the flakes there. Again, the mica in the micro spray is not fixed, so it will shed a bit. I mean, it won't do it forever. It'll only do it up to a certain point. You can take this stuff and hold it out and maybe hit it with some light hairspray, of course, which will stiffen your ribbon a bit, but it's not that big of a deal. And then we have our twine. So yeah, not bad. And I think I kept it to a fairly decent amount of time. I hope. We'll see. Shin mata hai. It is what it is, and I try to keep it, but these things take a lot of time, so sorry. But anyways, so in the next one, I think we will start working on some more stuff for in here. I do have a chipboard piece coming that I may be using on the cover, so I'm kind of holding back on the cover, but I think we'll go through the ephemera that comes in the kit, and we'll take out the different pockets and put those together and do all that, and then we'll decide on which ones we want to maybe use for the cover and start figuring that out. But I'll wait for the final until that chipboard piece shows up, because if it's as cool as I think it's going to look, then it's going to be worth waiting for, and we have to do book corners and stuff too. So at any rate, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. See you guys later. Bye.